His spindly hands curled around the AK-47. This weapon, a creation of the humans, felt cold and stung his skin, biting at him even when lying dormant. That should have been his first warning about the weapon's true nature. The two smugglers were small, ordinary aliens, squat and unremarkable. AAIC, there has to be more, he thought. He was calm, always maintaining an aura of authority, a backbone that kept him in charge. Yet, like a predator looking at sleeping prey, his instincts were starting to take hold. These humans, if they were making things like this, such toys, they must be simple, small creatures. Tell me, are they simple creatures, these humans? The two looked at each other, shrugged, and replied in unison, "Don't know." Ekes was an agent for his race, sent on a mission to scout out humanity's capabilities before starting an invasion. They have to be. He let a quick snicker slip loose, almost as if his mind was twitching with excitement. I mean, look at this thing. It's hilarious. He dangled the gun in front of his sleek, torpedo-like body. It looked small and strange compared to him, like a child playfully holding a stick as a weapon. Is it even an energy gun? Again, the two looked at each other, obviously frustrated at how long the deal was taking. Their kind became nervous when in one place for more than a few moments, scars their ancestors had passed down. No one answered. What? You're kidding. He shook his head and smiled, ignorant and uncaring about the restlessness of the two. How does it even kill? Metal? The other alien nodded. It throws metal. Ekes enunciated every word, relishing in their meaning. It throws metal. It wasn't a question to the twins, just a rhetorical game so he could enjoy the moment. He began walking around, lifting his chin with pompous theater, speaking as if those listening should be honored to hear him. Humanity, the apes of Earth, feared across the stars for reasons beyond me. These things, these puny creatures, hiding behind glorified slingshots, advanced pebble throwers. Oh dear, that isn't right. We can't let them keep going on like that, can we? The two stared at him blankly. He didn't care for an answer. No, we can't. We must do something about this. It's our responsibility to relieve humanity of their own awful existence. In that moment, with the cold, dead AK-47 in his hand, Ekes decided the fate of his people. He wrote a tragic history without even knowing. His mind let loose the dogs of war to charge over a hill that he himself had not yet seen over. Oh dear, what doomed creatures. What doomed, awful creatures. Ekes blinked. You want? He shook his head. What? The creatures were quite upset now. Do you want? Yes or no? You touch, so you buy now? Yes? Every word was like a penny being tossed to the poor. He looked up and pretended to consider their offer, as if he ever did in the first place. Then, after enough play, he sneered and dropped the gun to the floor, its cold bounce announcing his true intention. Keep the trash. Why would I want this? The two burst up from their small seats, but because of their stumpy legs and dense torsos, they became even smaller under Ekes. He could have easily missed the two if he were to only look straight forward. In a sense, they were quite literally beneath him. You touch, you buy. This rare thing, rare thing. He walked away, his needle-like legs extending before him like flags sticking into fresh dirt, claiming land with every step. You bastard! They shook and rattled their fists at him. You touch, and you no buy. You egots, all the same. That was the title of Ekes and his people, the title assigned to them by all those who had the displeasure of knowing them. The egots, the creatures of infinite violent egos. Ekes had already forgotten about the two creatures by the time he entered his ship. A lion cares not for the opinions of sheep, and an egot cares not for anything beyond itself. Her crown was simple, small, and rounded across the top of her oval head, silver like the fading light of a star, and somehow just as inspiring. She stood tall on her podium, assuming the pride of her ambitious race, a pride that was wider than any galaxy. I want not for your theatrics, she said. Then simple I shall be, O expansive one, Ekes bowed, waving his large arm before himself. Prey to be slaughtered, eager to rid the galaxy of that which offends. A quiet audience was around them, a select few chosen to witness the expansive one-hold war council during such a holy ceremony. Only she was allowed to choose who spoke. What of the stories of humanity? What of their fabled wrath and violence? Oh, encompass her, bridger of cosmic distance? The egots were nothing if not pompous, and their leader naturally needed to represent such ideals. An egot was proud to pour praise onto their royal one. You would not be afraid of a pebble cast from a bow of string. These humans, they merely have made the bow metal and cast a pebble of steel. These words, these stories you hear, are mere shields of fairy tale falsehoods, crafted with the intent to scare. The council amphitheater was on a comet arcing above a grand and blue star. The celestial bodies roared in the silence of space, lightly distorted by the transparent shield that allowed the egots to enjoy their pomp. How are you so sure? In reality, Ekes had just heard the same stories as everyone else. He'd only seen one weapon, a small piece of war, yet that was all he felt he needed. That's all the egots ever needed, an excuse to rally their pride even higher. My all-seeing great leader, it is a simple answer for commanders like us. The stench of prey is unmistakable. I assure you, humans are creatures of dirt, meant only to be stomped. No more words were said. No noise came from the crowd of tall, slender creatures. Yet to the honed ear of an egot, a standing ovation decorated the cosmos. Their leader had nodded. It was a simple, elegant nod, yet it held a signal to let loose the metal ships of war, to unleash the weapons of conquest. A ceremony of great religious splendor was about to be had. The egots were flying to war, flying to consume more land. How splendid. What a holy day it was above the pulsing star. What a holy war it was about to be. After all, the humans were apes, yes, creatures of dirt. All of this was true, self-evident even. What possible miscalculations could the instincts of the grand egots have made? The ships were massive, grand daggers of metal. They morphed across Earth's sky, consuming light and sucking it into a silver, uncaring hull. They were knives descending from the holy heavens, delivering release from unworthy life and rupturing the stillness of those unaware. Hold position. Ekes was honored with captaining the conquest. His voice had never been greater, never climbed higher in its pride. I wish to speak with them first. Let us see that which we shall soon destroy. A small transport platform spawned out of their flying monolith, taking Ekes and 4 others on to the planet below. An envoy of humans waited, small and appearing disheveled. The ship touched down like a feather atop water, hardly rousing even a pebble. Ekes lifted his chin high as he walked down a staircase that had slid out from the transport. Hands tight behind his back, he hardly glanced at the 3 camo-wearing humans. I can finally see the apes, he thought. The men were middle-aged, scruffy, scarred, dressed head to toe in military attire, and to Ekes' slight surprise, they matched his aura of uncaring. The middle one, a broad and dark fellow, raised his hand suddenly in a sign to stop. Ekes halted his walk, caught off guard by both the command and his own respect for it. He watched as the human, careless and lazy with his movements, propped a leg up on a small crate, took out a long, tightly rolled cigar, and with intriguing precision, struck a match to light it, guarding the vulnerable flame from the harsh, arid wind. Upon igniting the tobacco, he then looked up at Ekes, having to pull his gaze quite high to see his face, and idly puffed on his cigar. There was silence, and Ekes expected something more, yet the man just smoked, appearing as content as ever. His 2 comrades were not even looking his way. "What is this?" Ekes shook his head, not hiding his sneer. "What is this show?" The man took his time, never looking away from Ekes, and slowly nodding as he smoked, puff after puff. "Name's James," he finally said, with a curt yet energetic voice. Ekes took a moment. "All right," one of the men beside James spoke up. "Now it's your turn, buddy." Ekes snapped at the assumption of ignorance. "I know what an introduction is." He shook his head and brushed off the dust that had already begun to cake his hands. "Stars above, must we do such formalities?" James shrugged. "Suppose not." Ekes was becoming increasingly uneasy with their rampant casualness. "Right," he nodded, trying to stay focused and keep his sense of regality. "Well, you must understand your situation by now. We've watched your people and studied your weaponry. We are—" "Hold that!" James was suddenly alive with energy, his eyes so bright and ready that it sent a shiver down Ekes' spine. "You wouldn't happen to have come upon a rifle of ours, would you? Here, look at this. It would look just like this." He reached behind him and held up an AK-47, smiling. "You seen something like this before?" Ekes was horribly confused. Yes, there were two small fellas, sure little pests. They showed it to you? Yes, son of a… James slapped his knee with great joy and turned to the man on his left. Jenkins, I told you those bastards were trying to sell that junk. That's $20. Ekes shook his head. What? Oh, sorry, buddy. James smiled and puffed his cigar, resting one elbow on his knee. Old Jenkins here thought that the two fellas were going to eat it. We caught video of those two stealing the stuff, and it made the rounds of the old penny gone. The man behind him shrugged. What was I supposed to think? Not some dumb… James rolled his hand. Sorry, buddy. You were just getting on about how you were about to try and conquer us and all. Why, yes, I was. Ekes stepped back, taking it as a jab, the first flying strike of a fight. Ekes blinked as his chest erupted with the challenge of pride. He couldn't contain the anger swelling in him, and spat out his next sentences, as if educating unruly children. Our people, the great claimers of the galaxy, do not try. There is never a try with us. We always do. We never fail. We are not the triers, we are the claimers, the conquerors. James pursed his lips. Yeah, you should be bowing at my feet right now. That's not really how we do things around here, buddy. James straightened up, stretching out his shoulders and neck. Not big into the whole bowing thing here. Got a bad history with it. We're simple folk here, none of that praising jazz. You don't bow. You don't worship something grand. Oh no, buddy, we worship something quite grand here. We take a good bit of pride in it too. He tilted his head in curiosity. Yes? James's gaze was suddenly serious, his whole body locked into something scary, something beyond his simple self. He spoke simply but with immense weight. Passion. The word struck Ekes, sending a chill down his spine and rocking him. There was a coldness about the way James said it. So elegant, so quick, so simple. That should have been his warning to leave. Ekes blinked and shook his head, re-entering his impatience. You realize we are here to eliminate you all, yes? Yep, that was our guess. Even Jenkins got that one. Ain't that right, Jenkins? Damn right, sir. See, even Jenkins picked up on that one, Ekes sneered. I am only speaking to you so that I can see the realization in your eyes. Right, well, James shot up to his feet, the sudden speed and energy surprising Ekes. Tell you the truth, buddy, we're all quite excited for this. We haven't had a real rumble and tumble for some time now, and you really got everybody excited about it. What? You all shake hands before you guys do that? Wait, I don't understand. Suppose it doesn't matter. James and his crew curtly turned around and started walking off into the desert, each step playful and lazy. James raised a departing hand with his back turned. You all just let us know when this here shindig begins. How doesn't matter? Shindig, let you know. Ekes was thunderstruck by the whole encounter. He almost missed how feeble he looked. Quickly and with obvious embarrassment, he straightened up and screamed out to the humans. This is your people's last moments. Let it be known that what is about to happen will be tragic, horrible, and it will be us, the conquerors, the claimers that did it. James's voice was distant now, disappearing behind the wind just like his body. All right, buddy, all right. Ekes charged back into his transport, hot and furious. These ignorant beasts, his voice rang out into the empty air, the egots with him silent and concerned. These insolent, dirty things, they will pay, they will pay. When he made it back into the ship, he burst into the command chamber and screamed out his orders, spewing them so loudly and bitterly that no one hesitated. Send it all! Send the land cruisers, send the soldiers, send the ships. I want this place glassed. I want it leveled. Kill every living thing in sight. The war machine came alive. Thousands of transport ships carried millions of egots onto the strangely quiet Earth. Great drilling lasers exploded out from the large knives. Millions of lasers burst forth from the barrels of calculated cold energy weapons. Ekes himself again left the innards of his ship and watched from a floating protected platform. Yet, as the egots raged and ravaged, they only seemed to be attacking shells, empty houses, barren towers. Not a single human was in sight. Ekes gripped his observer tightly as he watched the monitors, read the reports, and saw with his own eyes that nothing was around. Where are they? He screamed hotly. Where did the rats hide? Ekes muttered. Then, right under his ship, somewhere about 200 yards ahead of an advancing egot line, tucked into a thick line of trees and shrubs, a little shimmer appeared. a reflection in the sun's light. Ekes screamed and pointed. "There! Look! They're there!" Some men ran up to inspect, and Ekes himself zoomed in a camera to see the hiding humans. He smiled as his screen slowly pulled deeper and deeper. Is that one of those metal slingshots? What did they call it? An AK? The muzzle became alight with fire, and not just it, but hundreds, thousands more burst from all across the tree line. It was instant and furious. EGOT's weapons were energy guns, quiet, advanced, and when they made contact with something living, they simply sucked the life out of it. Nothing fancy, no scarring, just alive, then dead. It was elegant, refined, and the only proper way to fight. Yet, as the horizon began to thunder alive with fire, as the sky became alight and red with missiles, grenades, artillery, and lead, so much lead, the EGOT saw the reality of man's silly weapons. When the first EGOT got hit by a bullet and didn't simply die, as would have happened with an energy weapon, but was shredded apart, leg ripped from torso, flesh exploding upon comrades in a horrific screaming swipe, their eyes began to sink into a reality they weren't ready for. Ekes, from the vantage of his observership, saw suddenly before him a battlefield of not organized, proud, and marching EGOTs, but a terrifying bloodbath, a horror show of war and death. Perhaps the worst part was that it wasn't even one-sided. The humans too were dying in droves, yet they weren't terrified. In the heat of awful, horrible war, they became even angrier, even more ferocious. It made them stronger. The EGOTs had never seen this before. They'd never fought a battle so animalistic, so primal and vicious. This wasn't their grand plan. It wasn't their holy way. It was carnal. Only animals could create such insanity. An explosion struck Ekes' ship, and he tumbled down in a twisting, dizzying crash, slamming to earth. He became caked in dirt, covered head to toe in brown, sticky earth that mixed with his own purple blood. His ears rang, and he swayed as he tried to stand. When he finally leveled his gaze to the horizon, he saw it. He saw the real perspective. He was in it. In the flying lead, the screaming men, the popping, bursting explosions that appeared from every which way, the whizzing and screeching planes, jets, and missiles. He was amongst the horror show, the terror of man and their simple weapons. He couldn't comprehend it. He couldn't grasp what had happened. They were all so unevolved, their bodies, their guns, their planet. How could this be happening? His communicator buzzed, and in his ear, he heard the concerned voice of the expansive one. "Ekes, what is happening there? We are getting report after report of disaster." He began walking amongst the dirt, amongst the corpses and chaos, in between the flying, ruthless death blistering by his ears. Their weapons. His voice was exhausted, gone, and without ground to center on. "Yes, you said they were simple. Yes, they are." He watched as one of their grand, knife-like ships, miles across and the pride of his people, succumbed to a red fiery explosion and began crashing down. That's the problem, Great One." "What?" she demanded. He flashed back to the thought of James and his two carefree, casual friends. He should have seen it in their eyes, in the way they walked and talked. It's not the simplicity that's the problem. It's all basic. All of it is trivial technology. A couple of dozen yards before him, he saw 3 humans, guns in hand, muzzles alight and furious, and their own eyes just as mad, just as intense and energetic. They screamed just as their guns did, and together, in unison, machine and man, they made a powerful charge. "They are simple," he was speaking slowly, quietly, "but that's not it. It's the passion, my queen. It's horrifying. Stars, it's horrifying." An explosion took over the communication, and the last thing the expansive one heard was the fiery cackle of a failed war, of a depleted, destroyed invasion force. A failure. No EGOT ever dared get within light years of humans since then. Whenever anything spoke of humanity or their weapons, the EGOTs made sure to let them know. They told them that the metal slingshots and bombs are not their true weapons. They're not what makes them capable. That's not their power. It is instead their mentality. They're all in, no holds barred, do or die, going until the bitter, broken, beaten end mindset. Their dogged, fiery, and frenzied passion, their ability to capture the sun behind their eyes, to possess a broken roar in their lungs, to see destruction and horror and find meaning, find purpose, to turn death into new life in their heart, to take a dead end and make it a final stand, to carry on and on and on. Humanity uses simple weapons, that is true, but that is not their real power. Their real power is their humanity itself. The egots learned that the hard way. This concludes our gripping tale of the egots' attempted conquest and the humans' fierce resistance. If this story of unexpected heroism and primal warfare captivated you, show your support by leaving a like. Comment with the word passion if you believe in the unyielding spirit of humanity. And don't forget to subscribe if you are a fan of intergalactic sagas. Your engagement fuels our drive to bring you more thrilling narratives. Thank you for joining us on this epic adventure.